Thanks for staying with us. Now, the first sitting of Parliament will be on Friday. Chief Justice Raymond Zondo making the announcement this afternoon, and it follows the declaration of the election result. But given the fact that no political party achieved an outright majority at national level, the country is waiting to hear who will form a government. Are political ideologies also contributing to the difficulties possibly in negotiations behind closed doors? Let's speak now to Professor Sethulego Matebesi, University of the Free State's Department of Sociology head, who's joining us live now. Prof, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I mean, we're waiting for the announcement of the first sitting of Parliament, and we just heard it will be on Friday for the National Assembly, Saturday for the National Council of Provinces. Your reaction?
Yes, good afternoon, Bongiwe. Let me also take the opportunity to, greet the viewers. We are at the brink of reaching that 14 days deadline that have been set, and it's quite interesting that even on the eve of this day, Friday's deadline, there's still a lot of anxiety in South Africa about what form will our government of national unity take, or whatever form it will eventually take. And I strongly believe that at the end of the day, ideologies do play a significant role in that regard.
And I'm going to get to ideologies in just a moment, but staying with what's expected to take place in Parliament on Friday, Jabulani Khumalo, for example, saying that he will attend the first sitting of Parliament to represent the Umkhonto weSizwe party. How does this play out in your view, given the recent developments within that party?
Yeah, it's very surprising, because we all know that only members that have already listed on the party list, and according to that particular list that has been shared with the IEC, will be able to eventually represent their parties at the National Assembly. And this is very interesting when you've got that. But this also tells us about the internal dynamics of the MK party. And one just wonders going forward what is going to happen, because we all know what was MK's pronouncements about Mr. Jabulani.
So let's then go back now to the ideologies. And for example, the ANC is proposing a government of national unity. Of course, this is their proposal. Now, this is a party that prides itself on being a broad church. And one can say that, I mean, that's been tested over the years. How much of a test, though, now, again, is it, especially when they look at the possibility of working with different parties?
It's going to be very difficult. We've got a broad spectrum of parties, all even on the left-hand side. It's not a case of if they are on the left, then it seems you're on the same on par with the African National Congress. You've got parties like the EFF, which you all know is also for dealing with issues of transformation, issues of freedom and all that. But definitely a huge difference when it comes to the approach of the African National Congress in terms of some of these right-based issues, such as land redistribution. We know that it is one of the primary goals of the African National Congress, but parties like the EFF have a completely different approach about the practical implementation, or rather execution, of such a policy. We've also seen a party like Patriotic Alliance being very bold and explicit when it comes to issues of immigrations and around border safety, which seems to be in complete difference to what the African National Congress has been implementing or pronouncing. And I think these issues does have a huge impact on the discussions behind closed doors, and also they will still have a huge implications on how these agreements eventually will play out in practice when Parliament will be sitting.
So how much of that then also, in terms of some of the policy positions, how much does that also tie in with some of the positions that some of these party leaders, for example, in the public domain, are already saying that they're eyeing in terms of cabinet?
No, I think it will be extremely naive of anyone to believe that the parties will only put on the table their ideologies. We know that politics, comes with power. We know that certain positions come with financial resources and power. And for that reason, many of these parties will come from that vantage point to say, yes, we do understand, in as much as we want to advance our own party interest, but I strongly believe that the party leaders are also looking at what some of their parliamentarians can benefit at a personal level. And that will be, once again, a very dangerous move if that will be the first priority for many leaders. I think we are where we are as a country because of these skewed priorities. There's priorities, but there are skewed priorities, which does not actually reflect the needs of the people. And I think that will be a wrong move. But unfortunately, for many South Africans, that is the reality that is also playing out during these kinds of negotiations, where it seems as if personal interest will supersede, national interest. But fortunately, I think if all these parties can come together, maybe for this time around, sanity will prevail, and there will be a concerted effort to try and advance the interests of South Africans and not of certain individuals.
How confident are you that sanity could prevail?
No, I'm not confident. We are now into 3 decades of democracy. We have seen it over and over. And what is very surprising, some of these party leaders, and I'm now referring to even the left opposition parties, has been very vocal about the ANC's performance. But I strongly believe that they themselves will also, move along that trajectory where they would want to advance their own personal interest. I'm not convinced that there's any party leader that would want to steer away, that they make these kind of pronouncements in public that we want to fight corruption. But once they are in power, then it seems as if all these social justice issues are thrown out of the window. And that is where personal interest takes precedence over the needs of the citizens of this country.
Quite an interesting one, Prof. Thank you so much for your insights this afternoon. Appreciate them. That was Professor Sethulego Matebesi, University of the Free State's Department of Sociology head.